Good morning. How are you? Have you been practicing?
Of course, of
Good.
course, every day.
Every day. Good. Good. Um, Master Zhang, my teacher, if you were gone for, when we began with him, I had 5 classes with him, public classes a week, plus 2 private lessons with him. He could do this with anybody, not just me. He could look at you and tell you how many minutes you had practiced that week. He would
Can
look
you
at,
do that?
can I do that? Pretty much. Not as close as him, not as good as him. But he could look at you and go, good, good, good. You practice 20 minutes every day. Not too bad, not too bad. You practiced 3 times last week, maybe maybe 30 minutes. And he would look at you and go, oh, not good, not good. Practice last week. Practice, not once.
That's amazing.
Well, he had been teaching for many, many years, and you can pretty much read someone. You can just read it.
It's not that easy. I mean, I don't know. Maybe when you are used teaching, maybe I don't know.
Think about think about when you go to a restaurant. Now, when I go to a restaurant in Battleground, they're all really bad restaurants. They're the worst. They're awful, awful, awful restaurants here. They're just, I cannot tell you how bad they are. But if you're in any town other than Battleground, you can go to a restaurant and you know how good the food is. Oh, this is exquisite. This is wonderful. This is this is by someone who truly cares about the food. Or this is no, this is okay, right? Or Battleground. Oh my God, it's so bad. It's I, I shouldn't harp on this, but it is the worst food in America. Right?
Wow.
Oh, it's just awful. You would be shocked at how bad it is. But there's lots of it. They
Lots
bring
of bad food.
that lots of bad food. They bring you a plate, and it's my God. You expect me to eat all this? That's because most of the people up here are grossly overweight. I'm a little overweight, but they're hundreds of pounds overweight.
Wow.
It's bad. It's very bad. Anyway, you know, you know whether it's exceptional. Or you listen to music.
Mm,
Let's say class. Do you listen to classical music?
yeah.
Some of it's just kind of a little pedestrian. Occasionally, some of it's really bad. But every once in a while, you'll hear something, and it just makes you stop
Yeah.
and listen. Someone is just their technical ability, yes, but that's not what makes you stop. What makes you stop is their heart, their soul in the music. And it doesn't even matter what music it is, it's
Sure.
the way they're playing it. I don't know how I got off on that, but this is really what Tai Chi is too. All the work, all the work, all the work is to try to get to that place where it's really just about the soul. So I'm not giving you that. You got to have that when you come. You got to have your own soul. I'm just giving you the technical part. And then you
Well,
do.
you're giving me a little more than that, but okay.
Well, let's do the form up as far as we know it. Let me adjust the camera here a little bit. Let me fool with my computer just a second, hon. Something is bizarre about our computer. Okay, there it is. I have to blow my nose. I have to blow my nose so my soul can come out. Okay.
Okay, it's just the last, this here, I didn't learn.
That's okay. You can stop right before that.
Okay.
Go back to the last thing that you remember. Relax your body. Watch.
Okay.
Good. So, how many times a day are you practicing that whole sequence?
Um, I do it morning and evening, maybe 10 and 10 minutes.
Okay, but how many times do you do that?
I would say 5 and 5, or no, more than 10. I
10,
mean,
10
it
times?
depends.
Okay. So that's good. You should do this at least a dozen times a day. And then in addition, practice, right, the the specific, right, the specific movements that we worked on that day or that past weekend. Good. Okay, I've got another question for you. This has nothing to do with Tai Chi per se. Um, I'm watching you on a big screen TV. So you are almost life size.
Great.
Really, right now you're bigger than life size, right? When you're up close to the camera, right? You're about life size right now. What are you watching me on?
I'm watching you on my little computer, so it's very small.
Almost everybody is watching for the classes is watching on a little laptop of some kind, and that's okay. Just you just do whatever it is you've got to do. But I know that most people have flat screen TVs, but they're not using them.
I don't have it. I
Do
don't
you,
have
you
one.
do not have a flat screen TV? Would you be willing to get a flat screen TV and use it as a monitor for your computer?
Yeah, Amiel and I have been talking about it because anyway, just watching on this little screen is really, at our age, it's difficult. It's
Yes,
getting more and more actually tiring and headachy, and so yeah, definitely we are considering it.
I found a book in the library that I have read half a dozen times when I was younger. And I looked at it, and the type in it is so small I can hardly see it now. Yeah, and part of the problem is you're right. As you get a little older, it's hard to deal with that. But it doesn't matter really what age you're at. Uh, the number one thing that determines your productivity on your computer is the size of your screen, the size of your monitor, right? And I think the same thing is actually true with Tai Chi and Qigong. Everybody's watching on these tiny, tiny little screens like this. I'm watching on a screen that's that big, right? So it makes a difference.
Yeah,
Be-
I'm not surprised.
Partly because, yes, of course you can see so much better. But the other difference it makes is it seems it's much more like being in the same room.
Mm, 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 mm,
So I can see how the light is hitting your cheek
mm.
and the shade. If you were a tiny little image, I wouldn't be able to see that. All right? You seem very realistic to me. So I have no problem doing this, but and I suspect that a lot of this is part of it may be technophobia. You know what technophobia is? It's phobia
Yeah,
about technical things. It's actually very simple. Most smart TVs, flat screen smart TVs, you can hook up to a computer with one cable and it just becomes a monitor. Now, I don't know about your computer, but most computers have that kind of plug-in. It's a particular kind of cable. And I'm really going to start encouraging the serious students
mm,
like you
mm.
to make the investment in I don't have, you can get these flat screen TVs that are 80 inches wide now. That's wider than I can stretch. Mine is 55 inches, so it's considered really relatively small. Um, but you can get those now for a couple of $100. When they started, it was like $10,000, but now it's just a couple of $100. Anyway, I think you should think about it because it will really increase your enjoyment of what
Mm.
you're doing.
Oh,
And
I already enjoy it. And
well, imagine that being even more so, right? Because the sense of contact is so much stronger.
mm,
Like, how tall am I right now? When you look at me, how tall am I? All right, that about that tall?
yeah.
Well, you are almost life size. So for me, it's like talking to someone who's 6 or 8 feet away in the room.
Uh,
It's
yeah,
it's
that's
much
very
more it's
different.
much more real. Well,
Okay, I have
uh-huh,
one question
yeah,
regarding what I just did.
yes,
This week, I don't know why, but I practiced a lot from white crane to the end of move 10, more than the beginning. And actually, what was very interesting for me tonight is that suddenly I could totally forgot
yes.
one of the movements. I was like totally lost in my head, and I couldn't remember at all. I mean, you had to demonstrate because it was like blank.
Just there. I understand. Well, first of all, it happens to everybody. Honestly, it truly does. It happens to everybody, including me sometimes. It's just like I don't know why my memory just isn't working, right? Less now than it used to be, but it does. It happens to everybody. Um, there's another issue, and this is part. This is an important part of the training, and it's why you need to be very patient with yourself as a learner. You've got at least two memory systems. One is kind of that intellectual memory, and there's a real place for that. But another we tend to call muscle memory. Well, it's not really muscle memory, but it's a different kind of memory system. And that's what you use to memorize movement. There, this and muscle memory are two different things. And the only way you can develop muscle memory is the actual experience of doing the move, is getting the feeling about that. And that takes a long time. You don't just do it overnight. Hold on just a second. I got to close the door. My neighbor is doing a project and he's got his big saw out there, so he's making a lot of noise. Um, it just takes a long time for your body to absorb all this stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
but that was the beginning of the form. I mean, I know it even better than what we just learned since 2 or 3 weeks, and suddenly it was gone,
yes,
gone.
yes, yes, gone. And when something is gone and you look for it, you will probably use
Yeah,
this mind to look for it, and that's the wrong mind. Because that's the mind that's blanking out.
yeah,
Which is why I tell everybody when you have one of those moments, just relax. Relax this, relax your heart, relax your body, just relax. Now, just do what your body wants to do. And honest to God, every time someone has done this, they remember. Their body remembers, not their mind. Now, of course, it is their mind, but we don't have the right language for this. All right?
it's weird.
So, this is something you should contemplate. Right? How you've done this 500 times, 1,000 times. How can you possibly forget it? Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
fascinating, actually. I mean, I'm just like
Yes.
fascinated by myself in a way. I mean, like, I don't know how it happened, but it happened, and I'm curious to understand why, and you know.
And how that happens. One of the reasons that I love to listen to, say, classical piano music. So one of my favorites is the Rachmaninoff Third Piano Concerto, right? And I particularly like Alexander, and I can't even pronounce his last name. He's Ukrainian. He's a Ukrainian pianist, and he's obviously very, very good. There are, there are so many notes in that concerto, which is what, 44 minutes long. How in God's name do you remember that? How does a human being remember that? He doesn't have any music. It's in his being. And my God, every minute that he plays, he's playing hundreds of notes. How does he remember for 44 minutes? It's amazing. But everybody has that capacity, including you, including me. All right? But you can't do it by making yourself do it. You can't do it just by discipline. There's got to be love too. You got to love this.
And discipline.
Yes, you have to. It's your soul. You have to love that music. That he was remembering that by love. Really, truly. And it's the same for Tai Chi. Everybody forgets. Everybody experience. I'm not exaggerating. I mean this. Everybody experiences what you just experienced, including me. Right? As a teacher, I could kind of blow past it when I forget things. But the truth is, sometimes you do.
Interesting.
Master Feng used to say, if you're going to learn Tai Chi, truly learn it, you need two things. You need persistence. Every day you practice. Every day you practice. And the second thing you need is patience with yourself. Don't be impatient because it just takes a long time. That simple.
I'm not anymore. I know that it's going to be a slow process.
You know, I keep bringing up cooking metaphors. I don't cook, so I don't know. Maybe it's a safe metaphor because I don't have to do it. But if I were in the kitchen, I have done this. So I've been in the kitchen and I'm dicing a carrot, cutting up a carrot, not dicing it, but just cutting it into rounds, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. You watch someone who's truly a pro at this, and it's like, oh my God, if I did that, I'd cut my fingers off. But it just, it's like, how does he do that? How does she do that? How does he do that? It's just experience.
Yeah.
Just experience. All right. We've got 5 minutes here, so we can do a couple things. Tomorrow we'll work on the hole punching sequence. No?
Yeah. Tomorrow is Yom Kippur. And
so you can't practice.
No, it starts around 6 o'clock until Monday 7 o'clock.
No problem. All right. So we'll do it next weekend. Right? That little, I'll give you a little hint about that little part you don't know. You're doing two things. Someone, right? I'm standing over here. Someone else is standing over here, and they go like that. They give me, bam, a backhand, and that's gonna come into my nose, for instance, right? So what happens is, as the guy's arm comes in, right? His arm comes in, is gonna smack me in the nose. I intercept it. It's already moving in this direction. So there's no sweat, there's no problem with catching it and pulling it a little further. because he's already coming that way, right? So you're going to catch his arm and you're going to pull it across your chest. And then this hand is going to come up and give him a backhand. You're going to give a backhand to the guy who just tried to give you a backhand. He's trying to give me a backhand. I'm going to give him a backhand. In addition to that, you're going to break his arm.
Good.
Right? I'm going to come up into my chest. You don't have to break his arm. This is just for fun. Right? I'm going to come up into my chest. Why? Because that allows me to pull him across my body more strongly. If I just come into my lower back, it's weak up here. This is strong. Right? Now, as long as you've got his arm, right? His elbow is the blue spot. You catch him, pull him across your chest. There's his elbow. Now watch. Pop. You pull him back this way and you push your chest out. Pop. You've just broken his arm. And then in addition, you punch him in the nose. Or maybe if he blocks that, you punch him in the crotch. Or maybe if he's got an iron jockstrap on, boom, you just get him in the ribs. Right? So it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right? Now, that's what you're doing, but when you're doing the form, you just do it very gently. Clear?
Yes. I'll work on that this week.
Okay. All right. Well, you have a great Yom Kippur, and we will see you next week. All right?
Thank you.